Well, welcome to the HR TailorMade live series, Conversations with Consultants. I'm your host, Dr. Tiffany Slater. And at HR TailorMade, we offer small businesses like you full service HR department. We create your employee handbook, processes and procedures, and guide leaders through those complicated employee related matters. Our ultimate goal is to help you create a work environment that promotes joy for you and for your employees. And part of creating joy for you as a business owner is knowing when to get help. With this series, we will provide you with information and resources that you'll need to lift the weight off your shoulders. So don't forget to click the bell and set your settings so that you get a reminder every time that we go live and we are sharing information that can be beneficial to you. So my guest today can definitely relate to what our topic is and will share great information to help us get our lives together. So please help me to welcome Christy Maxfield of Purpose First Advisors. Christy, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so let me share with everyone how I know Christy, and then we'll have you share who you are and what you do. So
Sounds good.
Christy and I met through a diverse business accelerator. She was our super coach, is what I'll call her. She was the person that made you mad because she wanted you to win. We were preparing for a pitch competition, and Christy was like, nope, do it again. That doesn't sound right. That doesn't make sense. I was like, who is this lady? But at the end of the day, we knew that Christy had our backs and that she wanted us to be successful. So I love Christy Maxfield. I think that she does a great job and really does support her clients. And so that's why I wanted to talk to you. I want you to share with everyone who you are, what you do, and why the heck do business coaches matter?
Oh my goodness. So I couldn't have asked for a more lovely introduction. I have a shirt from a friend that says delightfully blunt. And so, I mean, I am really okay with the reputation of giving it to you straight. I try to give it with as much love and compassion and enthusiasm as possible. But I also, like you said, I want you to win.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it to you too, because I want you to win. So Christy Maxfield, I did my first startup way back in 2010, and then I've been working with entrepreneurs since then at the Center for Emerging Technologies, doing their Square One program, and then spun off and did my own thing. In 2017, took the leap again, started Purpose First Advisors, and I'm really focused on working with small business owners. You can define small however you want. For me, what I'm really inspired by is helping women and entrepreneurs of color get over the $1 million mark. We are the least likely to get over the $1 million mark. We're the least likely to hire employees other than ourselves. And we're the least likely to get capital. So if I can do some little small thing that helps us move the dial on those things, then I feel like I'm making a difference and I'm helping people leverage entrepreneurship to create generational wealth for their families. So that's what gets me jazzed.
Yeah.
Oh, and you asked why do coaches matter? Coaches matter, and I have a coach.
Okay.
I tend to get a coach for anything I'm not good at. So I've had like the gym coach, trainer. We call those trainers, right? But they're coaches.
Yes.
I have a business coach. I've had a health coach. They matter because when you're looking at you only have one view. Like if you just look down your nose, you can only see a small fraction of what's going on.
Yes.
And coaches really give you that view, that 360 view. And so it's perspective, it's sometimes insight, but it's mostly support so that you can do things that you know you're capable of, but that doing alone are really, really hard.
Yes. And there are so many of us business owners, Christy, we just think we can do it all, right? I mean, I think that's just a female thing anyway. But as business owners, I think what's so interesting is that we think we can do everything. And these are things that we've never done before, and we've never even seen done in some cases before.
Absolutely.
I just love the fact that there are so many different types of coaches because everybody is not an expert at everything. So talk to us a little bit about how do you find the right coach?
Okay, cool. So you're right. Not everybody does the same thing. And if your coach can do everything, they're probably lying too, right?
Mhm.
Because if you know you can't, then they probably can't either.
Right.
Finding the right coach. First thing that I recommend to people is figure out what you want your outcome to be. Like, what
Mhm.
does success look like? And if you have an idea of what success looks like, then you can go into the conversation with a potential coach
Mhm.
who you should interview just like you interview anybody else and say, this is what I'm trying to achieve. Can you tell me what kind of work we would do together to help
Mhm.
me create this end result?
Mhm.
Now, a lot of times folks are like, I don't know what I need. So I tend to, when I get that call, say, if you're struggling with, should I be an entrepreneur or should I keep, on my career path, stay within the workforce, do that kind of thing? I really want you to sort that out before you come to me
Mm.
because I'm really good at helping you build your business. I'm not necessarily the best person to help you decide whether you should build a business.
Got it.
So once you've like doubled down on, yep, I'm building a business, I'm your gal.
Okay.
Right. And then I'm like, let's build it. Let's build it as big as you want to build it, whatever that is for you.
Mhm.
And let's go full steam ahead. So if you're really struggling, and you don't need to know more than that, right? I want to build this business. I think I want it to do this.
Mhm.
I don't know where else to start. Great, we'll figure that out together. But I have all my clients start with, what is your vision?
Mhm.
What is it we're creating? Even if you come to me and say, Christy, I've been in business for 10 years. I just don't know what to do next. I
Mhm.
really am struggling to get to the next milestone. I'm going to have you first start with, tell me what we're building.
Yeah.
Tell me what the vision is. So when you're looking for that coach, really think about in the near term, what is that outcome I want? What is success? What will working with this person help me achieve that I
Mm.
don't, I probably can't do on my own?
Right.
And then do they seem like the right person to help me do that?
That's those are great points. And I'm even gonna take it just a step further.
Please.
So once we figure out all of those things, what we want our outcomes to be, and we find the millions of people who can help us deliver upon those results, is it at that point that it's just about a personality match? What do you think?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes. I am not everybody's favorite personality, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Sometimes even with all the love I have, it's just a little too much, right?
Yeah.
Totally get that.
Mhm.
Um, Sometimes people very much feel more comfortable with working with coaches who look and have a similar background to them.
Okay.
So while I've been very successful in connecting with people across race and gender lines,
Uh-huh.
I still might not be the right coach for you,
Right.
right? So you have to really feel like you can trust the person you're working with,
Uh-huh.
that they have your best interest at heart,
Mhm.
that you can be honest and vulnerable with them. And if you can't do those things, then no matter how good their resume is, no matter how many other people say they are the perfect coach for you,
Mhm.
you got to find somebody else. And that's okay. I've had different coaches at different points in my life. And some of them I've stayed with and some of them I haven't. And
Yeah.
they all gave me something along the way, but
Yeah.
absolutely don't discount personality, preference, you know, your
Mhm.
gut. Don't discount your gut.
Right. Exactly. And then, so when I started my business, Kirsty, one of the things that I didn't know was all the things that I didn't know. And so I found myself just kind of bumping around and trying on so many different pairs of shoes, if you will.
Hmm.
And I got to a point where I'm like, okay, because I've tried 30 different things, I now have a better understanding of what I need. And so I think so often business owners or people in general really want to get it right the first time,
Oh my
don't
God, I
want
suffer
to.
from that.
Yes, I mean, I do too. But you know what? As business owners, we have to get comfortable in the messy and in the mess and just trying to figure things out because it's not going to be perfect. But what I love about business coaches is one, you all encourage us to do those
Oh
things.
yeah.
And two, you also have been there. So you can help us when we are saying to ourselves, oh my God, I've just wasted another $150. A lot of times it's more than that. Wasted $150 on this thing and it didn't work. But our business coach will say, well, you know what? You just learned a lesson. You learned it early. Now you know that doesn't work. Try something else. So
Absolutely.
I love that. I love the fact that you all are our support team, our support system. And Vanessa says, don't discount your gut. Exactly. That's right. So, your gut instinct is so important. And having a coach is almost like having a conscious, another conscious. So, talk a little bit about that when it comes to your clients making decisions that maybe you wouldn't select for them. How do you walk through that conversation, and what's the best way for people to receive that information as well?
Yeah. I think when I'm doing my job at the very best, I'm asking questions. I'm
Okay.
probing, I'm
Mhm,
why. I kind of become that 5-year-old why, why,
mhm,
why,
mhm.
why, why. And because that kind of unpacks like why we're
Yeah,
doing things, right? Are we motivated by fear? Are we motivated by uh, really wanting to get connected to somebody we think is going to be really resourceful? Like, what's motivating us? And then
yeah.
let's talk it through. And I have clients who do things that I'm like, but let's talk it through and let's understand what the pros and cons are. And then you're the business owner. I don't own your business. You own your
Mhm,
business.
mhm.
So what I'm really there to do is help you see as much of the picture as you possibly can. Think through some of the things you may not have thought through.
Mhm.
Push yourself to answer some of the things that you might be hedging on or avoiding a little.
Yeah.
Seek more information when you need more information.
Mhm.
Maybe pause when you might have otherwise simply just moved ahead.
Yeah.
And then ultimately the decision is yours. And like you said, good, bad, or indifferent, it's a
Mhm.
decision that you will learn from
Yeah.
and you can change your mind. I think
Mhm.
that's a really important thing is like in our culture, changing our mind is seen as something, God, I would never do that. I want you to change your mind. You've got new information. If you have
Yeah.
new information and that gives you more insight into what you're trying to do, then you should absolutely change your mind.
Yes.
Um, and be able to have those conversations. So many small business owners don't have anybody to have this dialogue with.
Mhm.
They're having this dialogue in their head,
Yes.
and that my head's a scary place sometimes, right? And I can convince myself of things that may or may not be true.
Yeah.
And I just find that I get so much joy, pleasure, satisfaction, fulfillment from helping people know they're not alone
Yes.
and that there is no one right way to do it. Because
Mhm.
my coach will tell you, Christy tries to find the right way to do things. And
Mhm.
my coach will tell you, I have to go to her a lot of times and say, I think I'm doing it again. I think I'm stuck because I'm trying to find the right way. She's like,
Yes.
yes, you are. And here's what we're going to do.
Mhm.
And so being able to do that for other people, knowing I have somebody who said, I have my Christy list of
Yes.
things I write down I want to talk to you about.
Mhm.
That makes me feel so good, not because I have all the answers, but because they're not alone and they know they have somebody. And then when I don't know it, I can call people like you, like,
Mhm.
oh, that's an HR issue. I know HR because I was an employee and I supervised some
Right.
people for a while.
Right.
That's it. I can't play an HR professional on TV, not for more than 5 minutes, right? So I need to call Tiffany. And then
Yeah.
when we've gone out of our depth on accounting, I have to refer them to my CPA friends. And when
Mhm.
I have pretended to be a lawyer for a little while, I need to send them to my lawyer friends.
Yes.
Um, there's always more to know about something than any one of us could know. And
Mhm.
I'm just really excited and energized by the idea that I can help somebody else figure those things out.
Yes.
And like you said, not make the same mistakes I made. My
Mhm.
dad was a small business owner, not make
Mhm.
the same mistakes he made.
Mhm.
But I want you to make all new mistakes and learn all new things so we can teach all sorts of new things to new people.
Exactly, exactly. And I really love the fact that you have a coach. I think that's so important. I think that a lot of times people feel as though once you get there, quote, wherever there is, once you get there, you know everything and nobody else can help you and you don't need the support of anyone else. But that's not ever going to be the case. That's not ever going to be true. So I really appreciate you sharing that. I think for me, one of the decisions that I would have made very early on is I would have had a business coach. Well, I did have a business coach. I shouldn't say that I didn't, but I have a business coach that definitely helps me walk through some of the things that I need to know as a business owner. And I would have also had a coach that could help me set up my structures and all of the things that I'm doing now. I've been in business for a year and a half, and then I stopped and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I need to make sure that I have my CRM set up, my SOPs, my standard operating procedures, so that when my 1099ers are working on things for me, they know my way of doing things. So I'm taking a step back now, doing all those things. I wish I had a coach at that point early on to say, Tiffany, as you're doing those things, these are the things that you need to be doing. So I think that definitely business owners should have a business coach. And if they don't know what they need out of the gate, Christy, what would you recommend for them in terms of finding someone to be a good coach for them? If they're just starting up, they don't know where to start, they don't know what to do, what should they look for?
Well, the great thing is that St. Louis has a lot of resources. And
Mhm.
so I always start people like, look for what's free, right?
Yeah.
Because especially if we're talking about formation, making sure you've got all your licenses and registrations and all that kind of stuff, there's lots of folks, whether it's the SBA and their small business development centers or SCORE or
Mhm.
some of the other entrepreneur support organizations in town, you can really get help with like setting up the nuts and bolts.
Yep.
Then you can find other programs depending on what kind of line of business you're in.
Mhm.
Most of us are building businesses that aren't high tech and aren't high growth. So
Right.
we're not really going to find an entrepreneur support organization meant for us in particular. But we can find networks of people and tap into chambers and other things
Mhm.
that have resources. And then when you once you're good, honestly, and once you're good for me means once you're actually selling a product or service in the market and you're generating revenue, people are
Yeah.
buying what you're selling. If you're revenue positive, you're seeing growth, the market's responding to what you're doing, and then you're like, okay, this is working.
Yeah.
What do I do now? My dream is starting to come true. What's
Yeah.
next? That's a really good time to start thinking about what is it I'm trying to accomplish. And, if you're like, oh, I've got more work than I can handle, I need to get some processes and systems. Or
Yeah.
I've got some clients in the pipeline right now, but my pipeline's not full moving
Mhm.
forward. I really need to really think through my business development sales cycle a little bit more. Or I've been running the business for a couple of years, but I don't really know if I'm profitable. Like
Right.
if Christy asked me, what was your revenue and what was your profitability last year?
Mhm.
And I can't answer that question off the top of my head, right?
Yeah.
Like we're all going to be at different points. And sometimes I just get the call that says, I'm succeeding. I think I'm going to bring on an independent contractor. I see this potential for growth moving forward, and I don't know what to do next. Like
Yeah.
there's so many things coming at me. I don't know what to do next.
Mhm.
Assuming we vet each other out and we're like, let's go. Then again, we start with what's the vision because we can reverse engineer from there. We know where we want to be. We know where we are today. And then how do we close the gap between future vision, current reality?
Yes.
And sometimes that's like, okay, today we have
Mhm.
to close these 3 deals to move forward. So we're going
Yeah.
to focus on business development before we go over here and look at this other thing.
Mhm.
But I just wrote a workbook. I'm getting excited to get it out into the world. We
Yeah.
really look at vision, finance, operations, culture, people,
Mhm.
and execution.
Yeah.
And you can sort of say, Christy, I'm great with people, or I'm fabulous with vision. I really need to dive into finance. You could start wherever you want on it.
Mhm.
by the end, I'm going to ask you to outline that reverse engineered plan. And
Mhm.
my suspicion is that folks will then go back and do other parts of the workbook because they won't have all the pieces they really need to go from there.
Yeah.
So, you don't have to know exactly. It's sort of like going to the doctor.
Uh-huh.
I know I need the doctor because this thing hurts, but I
Yes.
don't really know if it's because it's muscle or bone or why. And then I can go and we can figure it out together.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. I think that's really, really important to know that even if I don't exactly know where I'm going or what needs to happen, there's still a coach out there for me. But I want to reiterate that you are the person that is there to help people who know where they want to go and they've started their business. And that's so important because there are coaches who specialize in helping people get off the ground. And then there are people that only work with businesses that gross $1 million or more. So, it's important to know what your coach specializes in and who they work with before you start engaging with them. Can you tell me a little bit about what you think about these big coaching programs for business owners as opposed to working with an individual coach? What are your thoughts about that?
I see value in both. I think that there can be group coaching can really help. Let me back up and say,
Mhm.
one of the reasons I think we need coaches in our lives is because we can read things in books and hear them on podcasts and watch all the videos, but that human interaction of actually saying, let's take this principle and apply it to your specific situation,
Yeah.
that's the last mile, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
That gets you from knowing about it, reading about it, being interested in it to actually doing it. And that's the part where most of us, myself included, really struggle. Like I read about it, I know about it, but like the recipe's not the end product's not coming out the way the recipe says in the book because
Right.
so much of it is about how it gets applied to your particular business.
Mhm.
So that's really where if we can understand what we're trying to get better at, or
Mhm.
what we're trying to apply, what lessons and learnings and techniques we're trying to apply, then we can better assess, is this something that where being in a group coaching scenario might be really beneficial? Is this where a peer mastermind might
Mhm.
provide value?
Mhm.
Or is this really where I need to work one-on-one with someone? And it may vary over time. You may
Right.
start with one-on-one and then do sort of peer or group as maintenance. You might start in peer or group because it's more affordable, and then realize really to get the end result I want, I really do need to work one-on-one. So I don't think any of those are good or bad.
Yeah.
It really depends on what you want.
Yes.
And like with everything else, we get what we pay for, right?
Mhm.
So I think just managing your expectations, your group coaching call is not going to go into the nitty gritty of your business. Your
Exactly.
peers know what your peers know. And in some cases, that's wonderful and great. I've found that sometimes we get to the point where we're doing more coaching of
Mm.
others in those groups than we are
Yeah.
getting benefit for ourselves. So that might be an indication to move on. Um, and then one-on-one with coaches, it's really who's going to walk the walk with you. And you may not need that coach, like you certainly don't need that coach forever.
Right.
um, but you should definitely evaluate the relationship on a regular basis and
Mhm.
understand how they're giving value, because the coach
Mhm.
also may play the role of consultant
Mhm.
and may play the coach of teacher.
Yeah.
And those coach, teacher, and consultant are definitely distinct things they could do with you, even if their coaching uh, title is what attracted you to them.
Okay, I hear you, and I agree. I think that's really good to know. The One of the things that you said very subtly was that over time your needs change. Therefore, the coach that you have may need to change, and I would
Maybe.
say a lot of times it probably does because each coach focuses on a different thing for the most part.
Yeah.
It's rare that you find, any person or any organization or coach that is able to provide you with everything that you need.
Yeah.
So when you
And there may be somebody you come back to on a regular basis,
yes,
but as you go and you work with specialists and then you come back with them because they know you, they've got a really in-depth knowledge of you and your business.
yeah,
Or you may need them to coach other people on your team,
yeah,
right? As you grow, those needs change too. So
yeah, yeah.
it's definitely not a one size fits all. It's definitely, I would say it's an expense that a lot of people don't think they have the free cash flow for, that they see more as a luxury. And to me, it's always, if there's a tool or a method that's going to help me be more effective, less stressed, move faster and smarter, less stressed. I've had to learn the hard way. I'm a really frugal gal.
Yeah.
And part of that is really saying, spending the money now rather than doing the cleanup work later, spending the money now and maybe even offloading some of the things that I, would have otherwise done myself, that there are actually efficiency and effectiveness can look a lot of different ways.
Yes.
And if I look at coaching as an investment that pays dividends over time versus a sunk cost, but that's also, I have an incentive to look at the world that way.
You definitely do. But that's true though. I mean, it's almost like, do you want to, it's like insurance, right? You need insurance, but you don't have, nobody is standing at the door saying, pay me my money so that I can insure you, right? But it's better to have it than not to have it. And the coach even goes a step further, a lot of steps further than that. The coach helps you, walks with you, guides you, helps you see the forest from the trees, helps you understand when you are doing the most, as a lot of us will say. And those are things that we can't always see for ourselves. And so I really, really appreciate you sharing with us this morning, Christy. How can people reach you?
Oh, my website is purposefirstadvisors.com. My email is cmaxfield@purposefirstadvisors.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm active on there. I'm on Facebook, but not quite as much as I am on LinkedIn, and certainly not on Instagram as much as I'm on LinkedIn. So, email me, send me a message through my website, call Tiffany and have her call me, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm reachable.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Christy. I really enjoyed chatting with you. I think that business coaches are some of the most amazing professionals because while you all are helping us, you are also watching us and helping us grow our empires. And you get to sit back and say, yay.
Nothing gives me greater pleasure than knowing I am a small part of the success of business owners like you.
Yes.
And so thank you for that honor and that pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, everybody. So I had a great conversation with Christy Maxfield of Purpose First Advisors. And I want to thank everybody who was watching. I am Dr. Tiffany Slater of HR TailorMade, the HR solution for small businesses. Learn about our processes in the link below. If you are ready to get the help you deserve, be sure to schedule a 30-minute conversation or 30-minute strategy session over at hrtailormade.com today. And don't forget to turn on your notifications to get an alert every time that we go live. In the next episode, we'll be talking with Chef Nick Taylor, and he is with Executive Cuisine to You. And we'll be learning about meal planning and how to make our lives just a little bit easier. So until the next time, be very kind to yourselves.